Hello everyone, welcome to my online lesson. And today in our lesson we continue the paper that we're doing, which is 2023 Science of Physics, which is Science paper 1. In my previous video we did question 1 of 2023 Physics paper 1, which was section B, question 1. And today we'll continue with question 2, section B, question 2. So to those who missed my previous tutorial or video or lesson, you can just go on my Facebook page, Wise Lombe Jr. Science with Wise Lombe Jr. You'll find the video. You can also go on YouTube, just search Science with Lombe Jr. You'll find the previous video, and you can be able to follow through and catch up with us. So today we are continuing with question 2. Section B, question 2. So without wasting much of the time, let's go to our question. Our question is saying, figure B2.1 shows the same cone being placed in 3 different positions, X, Y, and Z, on a flat surface. So figure B2.1 shows the same cone being placed in 3 different positions, and the positions are X, Y, and Z on the flat surface. So we have position X, where they're saying it's the tip of the cone resting on the surface. Then we have position Y, where the cone laying on the surface. Then we have Z, the base of the cone resting on the surface. So before we answer our question, let's first analyze what they're trying to tell us, and let's first consider the concept that they want us to bring forth in these questions that we have been given. So if you look at these cones the way they are, if you are thinking to say this question is coming on the center of mass, the stability and the equilibrium, then you are just correct. So the concept that they want us to bring or to apply is the concept of stability, equilibrium, and the center of mass. So before we answer our questions, let's first determine the positions, the types of stability or equilibrium in which these positions shown here are in. So if you look at our position X, which we are saying tip of the cone resting on the surface. So you need to notice that there are 3 types of stabilities or equilibrium. We have what we call the stable equilibrium, unstable equilibrium, and we have also the neutral equilibrium. So these 3 positions, X, Y, Z, they represent these 3 types of stability or equilibrium. So it's up to us now to tell which one is stable, which one is unstable, and which one is the neutral. So if you look at X, they're saying tip of the cone resting on the surface. So it is the tip of the cone which is resting on the surface. Then we have a larger part of this cone at the top. Then we have the small part of the cone at the bottom. So if you try to tilt this cone in this position X, it will easily fall. So in short, we are saying the position into which this cone at X is in unstable equilibrium. It's not stable. So if we try to analyze the 3 types of equilibrium, we discover, say, X is in what we call unstable equilibrium. Why? Because if you just tilt it in any position, it will fall down. Even if we are to have a strong wind, this cone is not stable, or this position is not a stable position, so it will easily fall down. So hence we are saying this one is in a state or position which we can state as in unstable equilibrium. Then let's go to Y. So they are saying cone Y or position Y is cone lying on the surface. So if you look at the way the cone has been placed, it has been placed in such a way that once you tilt it or you roll it, it will find itself in a position whereby it won't return on the same side. There is a high possibility to say it won't return on the same side. It will just continue rolling if you tilt it. So this is the position which we call neutral position. So we can say the position in which Y is on the surface is in neutral position, because when we tilt it, it will just be moving around, and there's a possibility that it won't come to rest on the same side or position of the cone. So we're saying this one is in a neutral equilibrium. Now let's look at Z. So if you look at the way Z has been placed, it has got a larger side of the cone lying on the surface or resting on the surface. Then the small part of the cone is at the bottom. So what we say is that the base of this bottom is very much big, or it's large. So in this case, our conclusion, you can say this one will be in a position of stable equilibrium, or it is in a position of higher stability. Why? Because the base is large. So once you tilt this coin, this cone, you discover to say it will easily come back to the same position in which it is at this point. Why? Because the base is large, hence we're saying it is stable. So the position in which this one is what we call stable equilibrium. So we have three types. We have X, which is unstable equilibrium, then we have Y, which is neutral, then we have Z, which is stable equilibrium. So now after discovering now the types of stability or equilibrium in which these positions X, Y, and Z are, we can now go straight into answering our questions. So question A is saying, define center of mass. Define center of mass. Now, what is center of mass? Center of mass, this is a point on an object where its entire mass seems to act upon. So this is a point. It can be on an object or in an object where the entire mass of that object seems to act on. So in simpler ways, we can say center of mass, this is a point on an object where its entire mass seems to act on. So a point on an object where the entire mass of that object is acting on is what we refer to as the center of mass. So that's the answer for question A. Then we come to question B. Question B saying, identify the cone in the neutral equilibrium position. Identify the cone in a neutral equilibrium position. So we have already stated the cones here. So there's X, Y, and Z. And which one is in a neutral? So as we all know, Y is in a neutral, as we have discovered in our preamble to say Y is in a neutral equilibrium or stability. So our answer here will say Y is in neutral equilibrium or stability. So our answer for B is Y. So the cone Y or the position Y is in neutral equilibrium. Let's come to question C. Question C is saying, state two factors that affects stability of an object. State two factors that affect stability of an object. So they're saying we state two factors that affect stability of an object. So the first one here is the base of an object. The base of an object. Now the question is saying state two factors that affect stability. So to affect can either be positive or negative. So it can affect something positive or negative. So in this case, they're saying we just state two factors that affect the base. So the effect can be either way, either positive or negative. In the first answer, we're saying the base of an object. So if you compare the position of Z and X, so you discovered to say X is in a state of unstable equilibrium. Why? It's because the base is too small. Hence, it's not stable. It can easily fall. Then if you look at Z, Z has got a larger base. Hence, we are saying it is what is stable. It cannot easily fall. Why? Because it can easily balance because the base is what is big. So the base of an object affects the stability of an object in such a way that it can either make it balance or to be unbalanced. So it can either make it stable or unstable. And we are saying one factor that affects the stability of an object is the base. So the base can either make the object to be stable or unstable. And see, the one with a larger base is stable, and the one with a smaller base becomes unstable, as you have seen in the position of X and Y. Z has a larger base, hence it is stable. Then X has a smaller base, hence it is unstable. So one factor that affects the stability of an object is the base of an object. Then the other factor is the center of gravity. The other factor that affects the stability of an object is the center of gravity. So the center of gravity on an object is determined by its position. The center of gravity on an object is determined by its position. So if an object has got the center of gravity, which is very high, for example, I'll give an example of a bus. So we have these common buses that we have now in town, the likes of Marco Polo. So Marco Polo is very big and quite long in height. So he discovered to say if the center of gravity for that bus is at the top, meaning it's at the top of the bus in terms of height, meaning that bus won't be stable. It won't be stable. Meaning we're saying the center of gravity, we're saying that bus is more heavier at the top than at the bottom. Hence, that bus won't be stable. But if the bus with that height, like a Marco Polo, is the center of gravity is put at the bottom, meaning the bus is more stable and cannot easily involve itself in accidents. So the center of gravity, if it is at, at, at a distance which is higher than the object, that object becomes unstable. And if the center of mass is lower, meaning all its masses and forces are acting underneath or at the lower, at the base of that object, meaning the object becomes what? Stable. So we discovered to say the buses of nowadays that they are now manufacturing, they put their luggages down the bus or underneath the bus, not at the top of the bus. Why? It's because they're trying to balance the center of gravity of the bus. Now the system of putting luggages on top of my seats of people in the bus has stopped. Why? Because they're trying to balance the center of gravity to improve the stability of the bus. So the center of gravity, in this case, we're saying it must be quite underneath or at the bottom of the object for the object to be stable and not at the top of the object. So if the center of gravity is at the top of an object or is quietly at a higher distance in that object, there's a higher possibility to say that object won't be stable. And if the center of gravity is low, meaning that stable, that object will be stable. So only two factors that can affect them. The majority of the factors are only two. I mean, the most crucial ones or the important ones are only two, where we are saying the first one is the base of an object. Yes, the base of an object can affect the stability of an object, and the other one is the center of gravity. So these two are the major ones. There can be others, but I thought of bringing these ones on the table. So this is the end of our lesson or our discussion for today. Hope you go through this lesson. For more, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Facebook. You can contact me. We can meet up. Otherwise, this has been our lesson for today. Watch out for more. Till we meet next time. Shalom.